really bad at times, but never dirty.
Good morning. Welcome to our Minnehaha Commission meeting for, well, this says May 3rd, but it's actually September 3rd. I'll call this meeting to order and note for the record that we have a quorum of commissioners present. Before we get started, just a reminder to silence your cell phones, and another reminder, we usually don't have a meeting on the second Tuesday of the month, but in September now we will have a meeting on September 10th and not on the 17th, because a good number of commissioners will be at the State County Commission Association meeting out in Rapid City on the 17th. So I'm going to ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, look for a motion to approve our agenda.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to our consent agenda. Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment on an item in the consent agenda? All right. Any commissioner want to remove anything from the consent agenda? Look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. Call the roll.
Kipley.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Bleinberg.
Aye.
Benega.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to regular business. If anybody here is going to be speaking on any agenda item or for public comment, please sign in the back by the door. Need that for the record. Moving on then, our first item on our regular business is our fiscal year 2025 budget hearing. Good morning, Susan.
Good morning. On July 16th, you gave your approval to post a notice of hearing for today to have a hearing on our fiscal year 2025 provisional budget, which will be adopted later this month at the last meeting in September. So we wanted to just go through a few of the adjustments that have come to our attention since the July 16th meeting. There's been very minimal changes. I also want to make sure you noted that we do anticipate another change coming, hopefully by the next Tuesday's meeting. We always receive adjustments from the state at the end of August related to centrally assessed utility values. We got those last week, but we're still working through processing them. We anticipate having those by the end of this week so that we can get them incorporated into next Tuesday's meeting. That would impact property tax numbers as well as potentially levies. So we won't go into levies today because those numbers will potentially change a little bit after we get those processed. So I wanted to just go through this slide, just showing you the changes from the provisional budget from July to today. We've had changes in two funds. As you can see, they're very minimal. For the general fund, appropriations have increased by $19,042. $18,542 of that is related to personnel, salaries and benefit changes related to personal actions that have happened since the provisional budget. In additional, we had a slight increase in the Sioux Metro Growth Alliance funding. And then additionally, in the Emergency Management Fund, same thing. We had a slight adjustment in salaries and benefit related to personal actions. You'll notice that same dollar amount is being adjusted up into the interfund transfer. That is because since the appropriations are going down in the Emergency Management Fund, that means we have to transfer less from the general fund since most of emergency management is funded by the general fund. I'll just pause there to see if you have any questions related to any of these changes before we go into the means of finance.
Commission questions? Looks
Okay.
good.
And then related to the means of finance, we are showing all the funds here. Again, the only two funds that have changed since the provisional budget is the general fund and the emergency management fund based upon those dollars that we discussed. Just a few reminders as we go, as we've kind of note before we open this up for the public hearing. We are not levying any additional opt-out dollars in fiscal year 2025. 12 new positions were approved through the fiscal year 2025 budget. Our cash applied for the general fund is approximately 10.65%. That's a number that we try to stay pretty close, pay close attention to. And additionally, the general fund budget still remains about 70% public safety related focused. Our total budget for the year for appropriations is just, including the interfund transfers, is about $131 million. I'll just pause there and ask if there's any questions.
Commissioner Blindberg.
I know we've discussed this and I just can't recall right now. Maybe you can remind me. How many of those 12 new positions are public safety related?
Me.
And if you don't have it now, that's
No,
okay.
I
know we
have them
it.
detailed, so. Nine of the 12.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The other 3 are the veteran service officer within the Human Services Department, and then 2 are within the highway fund that are funded by highway dollars.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
I know this is a public hearing, and so I don't have anything else to present unless you have any other questions for me.
Okay, so we'll move into public comment. Anybody that's here to speak, that's a proponent or in favor of the budget, now would be your time to address the commission. And we'll move on to opponents. If anybody is opposed to any portion of the budget, now would be your time to address the commission. This is a public hearing. All right. Moving on then to commission. Do we have action on this today, or is it's a public hearing, so the action will be at September 24th? Yeah, okay. So, all right, no action on this item. Moving on then to a first reading and authorize the auditor to publish notice of public hearing on September 24th, 2024 to rezone from the R1 residential district to the C commercial district property legally described as Lot 2, Hatley Edition in the town of Lyons in section 17 T103 NR50W. Kevin.
Good morning. I am Kevin Hookman from the County Planning Department. Yes, this is a rezoning request, number 2401. The request is to rezone approximately 1.27 acres of the R1 residential district into C commercial, as seen on the picture there. The parcel is located on the north side of the community of Lyons, and it contains the former school building. The Planning Commission first heard this item in May of this year. At that meeting, several neighbors came and brought up concerns about some stuff and junk that's been left on the property, and the current condition of the buildings and the property itself. The Planning Commission did defer action until August 26th to allow some time for some additional cleanup and work to be done on the property. When the meeting happened at August 26th, there was shown that there was very little progress made to the property, and the recommendation of the Planning Commission was unanimously for denial. But then going forward, we'll still keep this going forward for the County Commission to hear to make the final decision. But today, action should be taken to authorize the auditor to publish notice of the public hearing, and we're requesting the September 24th hearing for that. Is there any questions?
All right, we'll take public comment. This is the first reading, so the second reading will be on September 24th. Anybody here from the public like to comment on this agenda item? Commission questions? Anybody want to set the date of hearing?
I just have a
Commissioner
question
Blindberg?
for Kevin. In reading the materials, it sounds like both times staff recommended approval, but the commission did not move forward in that way. Is that correct? And do you have any insight as to?
Correct. So at the May meeting, staff was recommending approval. At the August 26th meeting, the staff report remained the same, although there was the introductory paragraph about the changes of the request of the planning commission that would have led the planning commission ultimately recommend the denial. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go back and read a little bit more, or maybe watch. Those are recorded, correct?
Yes, yep, and it's in that second staff report, it's basically that top paragraph, the introductory paragraph that explains the changes between first time and the second time.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to set the hearing date on September 24th, 2024.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're at the end of our regular business. Now is the opportunity for public comment. Anybody here from the public that would like to address the commission? We have 5 minutes. All right, moving on then to commission liaison reports. Quiet week. I had 2 things last week. We had the Link board meeting on Wednesday. A lot of discussion around opioid money that a lot of the communities are around Brandon, for example, had approached the city or had approached the Link about donating, using their opioid money for the Link. So we're looking at maybe some unexpected sources of revenue that way. I didn't bring the exact numbers, but it seems like since the Link is open, it's well over 11,000 contacts at the Link that have occurred. It's kind of a routine business agenda. We will be meeting again in October, and we will have, I don't know if it's in person or via WebEx, Teams, something like that. The Pima County people who were here for a meeting earlier this summer, so they'll be coming up. Pima County is the Tucson, Arizona area, and there's a lot of similarities, or we're trying to replicate a lot of what they do just because they've been very successful in their contacts with the people that are typically Link users. So, Chamber Board meeting, they elected some new officers, so we'll be seeing that. The Chamber's annual meeting is in October, and they are not going to have tables. It's going to be REO Speedwagon, so if you're a fan of music from the 80s, 70s, you'll be able to see that. You can buy groups of tickets for that. So, yeah, about all I have from the Chamber Board meeting. Any other liaison reports? Non-action commission discussion.
Mr. Chair?
All right. Commissioner Kipley?
Yes, I guess just one item to maybe set the table for next week, that I was under the impression that we would possibly see a report from the auditor as follow-up to her claim that we were missing some 24,000 votes from the 2020 election. And I had heard that we had done further research and determined that those 24,000 votes are not missing after all. I and others would like to see those details, so I'm hoping we could get a written report on that from the auditor's office for next week's agenda.
All right. Request noted. Okay. Any other? All right. We will have an executive session immediately following the meeting for the purposes of South Dakota Codified Law 125.2, 1, 3, 4, and 6. So I would look for a motion to enter executive session.
So move.
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will take a few minutes to clean up and next door. All right.